Hey guys, this is HTOMario, and I'm gonna show you a little bit of Legacy of the Void Beta against somebody who is a Terran player. Let's leave it at that. Not the nicest of guys. Either way, we're gonna show you a little bit about this game and how TVT works in Legacy of the Void. Currently in TVT, in Legacy of the Void, I found that the Cyclone is very well if you get them at 1 or 2 to kind of start your opening. And overall, they can kind of be masked, but you have to be able to really out macro your opponent. Otherwise, you're going to die. There's a few counters to them you can do. As an example, siege tanks in mass are pretty damn good. Pretty damn good against the Cyclone. Siege tank Cyclone is pretty good against Cyclone. Hellion Cyclone is pretty good against just pure Cyclone. And then Siege Tank Cyclone counters Hellion Cyclone, but Hellion Cyclone counters Thor Cyclone or Pure Cyclone, and Thor Cyclone kind of counters Siege Tank Cyclone. So there's definitely a few things that you can do, and that's just referring to like mech styles. Bio is still pretty viable. Overall, the Cyclone involves a new role in TVT, which is pretty fun to use, but difficult for some people to adapt with. In this specific game, we go for a very early kind of a command center or into cyclone type play, or this is usually in my TVT. But there are other options that you can do, and that's going for a second guess. Now, one of the things that I like to do is either I decide if I want to go for an early command center right after the barracks finishes or grab another gas geyser. In this case, I was really thinking about going the command center route, which is kind of why I said it. I forgot that I chose a different route. But I chose a different route because of what we scouted in his base. And one of the things that we scouted was that we could kind of get the wall off on it, or steal his gas, which is very important. Because we know that he's pretty gas starved. Even though our gas is kind of later, it's still a lot earlier than our opponents. And I have a love-hate relationship with this opponent, so we like to be a little bit of a shit talker, just a little bit. We've tried to be nice to this person, but to no avail. Anyway, so we're gonna go for an early cyclone. Now, alpha this, not too much later, you really want your command center. The cyclone is such a heavy gas cost unit. It's 150, 150, 3 supply, which is massive. It's a massive amount of cost for it. Although it does have a lot of utility, and it makes it easier for Terrans to go ahead and move up in the game in terms of grabbing easier expansions against Protoss, stealing against Mutalisk a little bit easier against Zerg. There's definitely a use for them in every single matchup as a mech player, which is awesome because we needed something that really pushes us as mech players to deal with a lot more openings. In Heart of the Swarm, if the opponent goes like Blink Stalker and a Widowmine or Blinkstalker or Oracle or maybe Dark Templar, the responses can be very different. But in this case, what we can do is kind of just open up with a Cyclone and some turrets, since the missile turret has been moved to the barracks instead of to the engineering bay. So it's a lot easier to defend all ins, which makes it easier to grab your expansions. So that's awesome, especially against Protoss. That's the biggest reason Terran against Protoss is so hard in Heart of the Swarm. Is there so many kind of different ways that you can, or the opponent can get a slight advantage over you, where you fall slightly behind. In this game, what we're doing is we went for kind of a delayed command center, although usually I get an earlier one. And because it's kind of delayed, we have a little bit of extra minerals because we don't have the gas geysers mining there, so we went for a third command center. And once the third command center is down, we can kind of get the gas geysers that are natural fairly early on compared to normal. And that allows us to be on 4 gas geysers kind of quick. It's not as quick as you would say it normally is. if you just play a standard play, but you are able to get your tech up a little earlier. We can't really afford 2 cyclone production, but it's delayed enough to where you accumulate gas if you're on one factory. So you can go 2 factory cyclone, but you can't have them in constant production. So you need that third gas geyser. As an example of this, when you open up Reapers in mass, 2 Reapers are supported by 1 gas geyser, which is 100 gas, and then 4 Reapers is supported by 2 gas geysers, which is 200 gas per cycle. And the cyclone costs 150 gas and costs about the same amount of time as a Reaper. So you'll always start your other cyclone about 1/3. See, you can see that the time right there was like 1 is 2/3 of the way through, 1/3 left over. So we start the other one, which does make them come out faster, but it's not as efficient as it could be, so you need that third gas geyser. And in this game, so we get it kind of fast, we have the third CC, so we're just going to really push the gas geysers at our third. We're going to get them really fast before we even get anything else over there in terms of worker wise. We're not as concerned about the orbital there yet either. We're just trying to refine the amount of cyclones that we can really push out. Minerals aren't as much of an issue, although we should get the orbital command very soon. In this game, we delay it so that we can go ahead and grab another expansion a little earlier so that we can have those extra gas geysers. This is a weaker opponent, so we're definitely going for an out macro strategy. Anytime you know that you're a better player than the opponent, it's easier to, take some risks because they're probably intimidated by you and aren't able to perform as well as they either normally would, or you're just going to outperform them anyway. As an example, in this game, our opponent is only on 2 bases and he has his third orbital command. However, it's not even landed and he's not getting the gas. He doesn't recognize how to really play Legacy of the Void in terms of the Terran against Terran matchup. And you can see we have these extra gas geysers for a while. They start at 1700. We've mined an extra 200 gas out of these. Almost 300 gas out of these, and we're getting these gas geysers established, and they're going to finish around the same time. You can see they have like 15 seconds left, and this takes 21 seconds, so they finish relatively fast, and this is before he even gets his third gas geysers. So although the supplies may seem even, and there's some drops going on, the workers are definitely even, but ours are spread out a little bit more. We do have to pull a little bit. We're losing some because of the Hellbat drop. But our army is almost pure Cyclone. In fact, it is pure Cyclone, 10 Cyclones. And although siege tanks can help defend against Cyclone siege tank, he's going for this crazy combination where off of 2 base he goes for Hellbats and siege tanks and Cyclones and Medivacs. And this is just not good. It really delays the amount of units that he can really get out effectively because he's trying to do too many things at once. The siege tank says, I want to control space. The Cyclone says, I want to be mobile in my defense or aggressiveness. But the Hellbats with the Medivac says, I want to drop you. So he's trying to achieve 3 things, which it takes a lot of toll of economy when he doesn't even have that much economy to begin with. Like mineral wise, sure, but when it comes to like overall what he's trying to achieve, he's spreading himself very thin. We have a very clear plan. We're going for a very mobile unit which can help us harass and defend, and we're going to mass expand for this. So we have like 2 goals at the moment. The Cyclone is a kind of a wonderful unit in terms of addition to Terran Mech. The biggest reason why I really like it is the lock-on ability. You can toggle it on and off. It's a very fun ability. Sometimes if you have it on, it can just kind of kill you because you're targeting the weak units. But you can also like manually target them, and when you manually target them, you have to like click for each one of them. It's an APM sync when you do it like that. Oh, we drop an engineering bay to kind of slow down that expansion. I don't know if he's, going to move his army at his third, but we're gonna go ahead and snipe this barracks again. Maybe delay some more factories, an orbital command. We don't see a lot there, so we can definitely push up. I kind of see some things up there, but they're a little off to the side. There he goes. He comes up now, so we just get a few automated lock-ons. He's not sieged up, which is a big problem because the siege tanks are only good against the Cyclone when they're sieged. He's sieged mid-battle, which is not so great. It definitely means that he's out of position, and now we're just able to be so mobile, and he spread himself too thin trying to get the 4 bases with siege tanks. There wasn't a lot of possessiveness, and we are going to be a little bit BM against this player. This is somebody who's BM'd me every chance he gets and accuses every single person of map hacking and stream cheating, and he has no respect for other gamers. So we really like to piss him off. It's quite fun. Quite fun. But that's all I'm gonna say about it. Anyway, so that shows you a little into about the Cyclone, why this opponent lost. We pretty much focused on 2 goals, which was mass expanding and massing a mobile defense unit, which can be countered by either another mobile army on his part or a very defensive army on his part and then overpowering us with the power of siege tanks. This map isn't very big, so if he delayed his fourth, he definitely could have gotten a lot of more siege tanks. Maybe made this a planetary, stuck some siege tanks on the sides, not behind it because then the range wouldn't have been very good. The Cyclones would be able to lock onto the planetary and back up to like here and still be able to fire. So you want to hit them hard when they're trying to lock on. So in terms of his third was kind of late. There needed to be a planetary somewhere. His units were out of position. His sieges were late. So we definitely played a bit better than our opponent, and it kind of allowed our mobile unit to really catch him out of position and overwhelm him. Although they are much more expensive, like if you look at a siege tank, they're 150, 125. The Cyclone is an extra 25 gas. So if I kept making cyclones, which I definitely was, he didn't really need this gas geyser, at least one of these as much as he to be on equal footing, so not grabbing this base makes him just slightly behind, but a superior army composition with the siege tanks. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I apologize for the little bit of BM. As you can see through all my videos, I really try to be a nice guy, but sometimes people deserve a little slander. Anyway, thank you for watching. Expect more YouTube videos and have a good time, guys.